and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a knitty yarny podcast from the southwest of France. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this new episode. I hope you are all doing well. I am okay. We're handling things here, sort of. As you can see, I have moved. We have changed the location of our recording studio. No, this is actually my bedroom, and so basically the light is different, and we're sort of in a Renaissance kind of mood with the light and shadow here. I sort of look like an Italian painting with really high contrast. My cheek is shiny. This one isn't, but yeah, if I'm like this, it's better. But I can't possibly look at you like this for an hour, right? So yeah, I am well. I'm handling things, and yeah, I have a little episode for you this week. I have a pattern release to announce. I have a couple of works in progress as well to show you, and yeah, I feel like I had forgotten something, but actually I don't think I did. So I have some notes here just in case, because last episode was absolutely horrendous. I don't know, I was a bit lost and out of things, and I constantly felt like I was forgetting stuff, which was a bit painful to watch, I assume. So that's why now I have some notes in case I need them, and if you see me looking down, that is why. I'm gonna start and stop rambling already. I put the different timestamps of all the sections of the podcast in the description down below. So if you want to skip anything that you would not be interested in, feel free to look at that. I also put links to everything that I talk about, as well as my social media patterns on Ravelry and Patreon page. So yeah. I am going to start with a new pattern release that I just put up on Ravelry, and this is a sweater that has seen a few hiccups in its release. Like, I wasn't quite sure about when I was going to be able to release it, because as you can expect, things that need to be reorganized at the moment, basically. And so I had planned to release this sweater for the Knit Eat festival that was going to happen in Lyon, which has been postponed, obviously, because of the situation, and so we're releasing it now. Yay! This is a sweater that I designed in collaboration with Maison Corlaine, which is a French indie dyer, which I very much like. I love their work, and basically last year at the Knit Eat festival, I was able to get a couple of skeins of their Corlaine base, which is an absolutely beautiful base, and I fell in love with it, and I will talk about it more in details in a bit. But yeah, I have come up with this sweater. So it's a top-down sweater. It's a raglan. You start it flat at the back of the neck here. You knit it flat for a little bit, and I have made a more open neckline than I usually do. If you've seen other episodes, or if you know me at all, you know I kind of like closed necks. Like, I like to be struggled by my sweaters, and yeah, so that's what I tend to do a lot of the times for my designs, but trying to do a little bit of a variety, so that you all stop telling me that, oh, this is so nice, but the neckline is too close, which I know it is, but yeah, sometimes you gotta try different things, and so I'm very happy that I managed to have a more rounded open neckline here at the front. This is a raglan, so it has pretty thick raglan line here, which are 3 stitches. It's a sweater that has a bit of positive ease at the body, and it's cropped. So as usual, all the length in the pattern are completely customizable, like you can make them longer or shorter as you wish. The way I write this in my patterns is that the measurements that are given are like a middle range, like an estimation for all the sizes. I prefer to do that rather than giving you specific measurements for each sizes, because I kind of feel that when you see really precise measurement for each sizes, this encourages people to just go for it, not think, and follow the pattern without giving it any thought. And the thing is, for me, this never works. Whenever I follow the measurements for body and sleeve length from other patterns, it never matches mine. It doesn't fall right on me. That's because it's really personal, not only based on your body, but also your body shape, but also your preference. And so for me, it's bound to be wrong if you just follow a strict measurement. So I don't quite see the point of giving measurements that look very strict, because I feel like this is like taking responsibility from you, and sort of it encourages mistakes personally, and I don't want to risk that. So that is why I prefer to give an estimate and then actually tell you how it should look and what's coming next. So basically, what the pattern says here, for example, and this is even easier when it's top down because you can try it on, right? The pattern says knit X centimeter approximately. Basically, you need to start the color work once you've passed your bust. At least that. So then you can sort of see what you want to do, how you want the things to be portioned in. So that's what the pattern says. Pass your bust, and then what is this? A red thread. And then this will be X centimeter. And that is the measurements I want people to look at. Basically, I always say, or X centimeter or inches less than the length that you want. And I really prefer to do that because it's always the sort of game between giving you everything you need, all the information, all the keys, but also not patronizing you, like not taking you for babies, basically, so that you can make sure that you can personalize it. It's just that I feel like if I don't give you the necessary wiggle room in the pattern, which for most pattern is lengthwise, it feels like you don't have ownership of your project, and you can make something that you will not be happy about, and that would be too bad. So that is why I prefer to give average across all sizes. So basically you aim sort of for that, and then you try it on and you see how it works for you, how you want it, and you can adjust accordingly. And the pattern gives you all the tools so that you know, if you want to make it like mine, where to place the things and how much the remaining of the body will measure, basically. Same for the sleeves, and this is even easier with this because, well, depending on which one you start with, for example, if you start with the body, then you know you just need to start the color work on the sleeves at the same spot, basically. And so that is how things are written. So you're allowed to make the pattern your own, and that's sort of what I try to make obvious in my pattern, to make it obvious that you're allowed to think, you're allowed to think, you're allowed to use your brain. I mean, you're allowed to think your project so that it is truly yours. And for this one, it's really fun because you can see, for example, that sounded so French. You can see, I don't know why I said it like that. you can see for all the different testers versions that some of them use different proportions. Some of them have longer color work, shorter color work, so you can sort of see again what you would like, for example, and make it your own. So yeah, this makes the pattern really customizable, and it is otherwise extremely simple. The color work is really basic, and like you don't have to think in both parts. Basically, this one is obviously really easy, and this one is a short repeat with little motifs all around, and really easy to follow. No floats to catch, basically. The pattern gives help on how to handle color dominance if you want to pay attention to it. Yeah, basically you need to switch it between body and sleeve so that you have a certain effect. Or not, if you want to have the opposite one. But yes, the pattern is very simple because of that. The raglan is also written as a cheat sheet, like a table to follow, which I have talked about in not my previous, but the episode before that, I think, is that I wrote the raglan so that you have to follow a table simply, and you know on which round which parts you're supposed to increase, and the pattern has example of what is it with the banks. Oh my god, I'm recording on my phone, and so I'm seeing notifications when I receive messages, and from this morning on, my bank, like, because I have 2 bank accounts, they keep showering me with messages. I don't know what they want. I paid my taxes, okay, leave me alone. But the table for the raglan, and then you have so I decided to try to write it like this. So basically you have the cheat sheet, and then you have example rounds, meaning that if in the table you see a case that has like one is blank, one has a cross, or there's 2 cross in one and stuff, then you have the rounds that you're supposed to do. So basically you have everything you need. And this was this was well accepted by my testers, and they were all really happy with how it turned out and how easy it was to follow. And yeah, I'm really happy that this is working, because this is a way of writing that I find so much more readable for people, and my testers agree. I have only gotten positive feedback on it, that once you sort of read through, once you know what you're supposed to do, and so that's great. I'm really happy with that. This makes a pretty easy pattern to follow, and since the color work is so easy, it's as well beginner friendly. So if you have never done color work, this is like the simplest thing, especially since it's on body parts that have no shaping, so you don't have to increase, you don't have to decrease. It's just straight short repeats, and you just go for it. So yeah, that is Diomir. Did I even say it? It's the Diomir sweater. So you can go and check my tester's version, because as usual with color work, what I find really interesting is how different it looks depending on the colors that you chose. So here you see I have chosen quite grayed out muted colors, and so it sort of looks vintage, right? And on the other hand, my testers who chose more sharp contrast or more saturated bright colors, it looks completely different, and it just looks so more modern. And so you kind of have the 2 things. Mine sort of looks a bit more vintagey, you know, a bit more 90s perhaps, but some of my testers looks absolutely brilliant and just bright and modern type of sweater, and it's absolutely lovely. And yeah, so I think I said what I wanted to say. I have used Maison Corlaine, which is a fingering weight based, but it's knit at a very loose gauge, and that is because this yarn is amazing. When I first got this yarn, so it's 100% woolen spun French merino, and I had the impression it was pretty much the same base as Yulce's from the Rerum Natura, which is a sport weight base, but it's not quite that. It's a bit more fluffy. It blooms better, I feel that once blocked, the fabric is much more unified, much smoother, and very, very soft. I find it a bit different than Yulce's. I don't know why. I had the impression when I was knitting on it that it was going to peel, and so I wore it quite a lot and I smudged it all around, but it doesn't. Even in the areas where it would have a lot of friction, it didn't peel at all. So I absolutely love this yarn. It's absolutely brilliant for color work and everything, and it makes it so economical because I used less than 700 meters for this, and I made like a size 2 or 3, I don't remember in the pattern, but I mean I have long sleeves, I have quite a lot of ease. It's cropped, but it's not super cropped, like it's at the top of my hip, and yeah, I use so little yarn because I was able to knit it at such a loose gauge. I think it's 21 stitches. I haven't checked. I've written the pattern quite a while ago, and since the test knit was all wide, I didn't have to look at it too much, basically. Yeah, and this means that you use very little yarn. If you remember when I was knitting on it, I was afraid that I was going to run out because I only had 200 grams of the main color and 100 grams of the contrast color. But actually I have a ton of leftover. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so I really, really love this yarn. I really encourage you, if you can get your hands on it, to try it. So at the moment things are a little bit complicated with shipping stuff, but in any case, heavy fingering weight that blooms work. If not, I'd encourage you to go for a sport weight or a DK weight. If you want to use a superwash yarn, for example, don't hesitate to go for DK. That way your color work will be nice and tight and smooth. And yeah, just check the gauge, which is fairly loose. Don't go for a fingering weight, even though mine is a fingering weight. It's a very, very special one, and I absolutely adore it. As soon as it's going to be possible, I think I'm going to get some more to make other sweaters because I love it, basically. I really, really do. It made such a lightweight sweater that is still super warm, very soft. It's much softer than the Rerum Natura, which is already okay. But it's, yeah, it's so lovely. It's so lovely. I really love it. The colorways I used are Philomene, which is this bluish, dark blue, greenish thing, and Léon, which is the light gray one. And yeah, really, really love it. Really, really love it. I highly suggest a woolen span, heavy, sort of almost sport weight yarn for this. But combinations are pretty much endless. You can check my testers versions to get inspiration. And yeah, that is what we're on. I think I've said everything about Diomir. So there is 15% off for the release with the code Diomir. And everything will be written in the description below if you want to check it out and see some color inspiration from my testers, because there are some lovely versions. There's a burgundy and cream version, which I pretty much fell in love with. Chantal made Shanty Knits, by the way, which is someone that very kindly often tests for me. She has her own podcast, so it's Shanty. I think if you look for Shanty Knits, Chanty, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. For her, I make her suffer trying to pronounce my pattern names, and I'm suffering trying to pronounce her nickname. But yeah, I think if you look for Chanty Knits on YouTube, you should find her podcasts. She recently started, and she's really sweet, and I really like what she does. She's really creative in her projects, and she made a cardigan version, which she often does because she really likes cardigan. And she made a really cool version of it. So I think I've said everything about Junie, and I'm going to move on to my works in progress. So I haven't made any progress on my calm sweater, which is the moss-stitch ribbed sweater I was working on, the rusty one, because I'm a little bit in a mess trying to reorganize myself. Basically, I'm trying to work on my June patterns, but I started, if you remember last episode, I started a shawl, which is supposed to be mid-June pattern, but I need something at the beginning of June, especially since it's my birthday. I like to release a pattern on my birthday, which is the 1st of June, and so I was like, why am I starting the pattern that will come later before the other one? So basically I've been working on my designs only, so I haven't made any progress on my calm sweater, but I don't really like this. It's just an odd situation at the moment. Basically I'm waiting on some project that will be quite urgent, so it's a weird situation where I'm trying to advance stuff, but like something is blocking me because I know I'm gonna have to pause them for a while, so it's a bit weird. But in any case, I wanted to advance that shawl as much as possible so that it would look like something, and then start on the other design. So I'm going to show you the shawl first, because, well, last time it was basically this, so it looked absolutely brilliant, right? But I have made some progress. So this will be the Emelda shawl, and this is a future design, and this is what I have. So I have done all of these stripes in stockinette, and I have done a first lace insert, and I'm gonna try and stretch it so you can actually see how it's gonna look when it's gonna be blocked and beautiful, because right now it looks scrunched and ugly. But yeah, this is the lace that I'm using. I showed you the swatch last time, but here it is in its natural environment. So yeah, it's this Japanese type lace with little bubbles in the middles. So yeah, this is what it looks like so far. I have done a little bit more stripes, and basically now I'm only gonna make a big portion of lace in the main color. The yarn I'm using is an alpaca yarn from Les Petites Potions, which is another French dyer which lives very near me, and it's absolutely beautiful and drapey and lovely, and I'm really happy with how the lace looks. Basically, since it's an alpaca cashmere silk blend, so it's like really drapey and it's gonna stretch a lot. So I am using 3mm needles, so I think, or 3.25. No, I think it's 3. I don't know. I think it's 3. I don't remember what I said last time. But I managed to have a lace that looks pretty good. Usually lace in alpaca is a bit too heavy and too loose. But I think I got the gauge just right, because I really like how it looks when I manage to stretch it. I can't wait to block it, and it's gonna look really, really cool. Also, I changed my mind. So last time I said that I wanted to do something with the borders of the shawl, that I didn't want to leave them like this. And what I said is that I wanted to pick up stitches here on that edge. That was wrong, because basically that edge here, the edge where you increase, is the longest edge. It's going to be the straight one. And in an asymmetrical triangle, for me, it made more sense aesthetically if the two short edges were different, rather than... It makes sense in my head. I can't explain it. I tried to explain it in the French podcast. I made zero sense, because they're all different since they're 3. But basically, I preferred to have the lace, because here I'm gonna have the huge lace portion, right? So I preferred to have this edge here, this one here, be the end of the lace that's gonna be blocked and maybe make something wavy, and this edge here, so the other small edge of the triangle, to have something funny in it. And I'd rather leave that one alone like this. Another reason why I decided to change is that I actually want to pick up stitches here. So on the edge I have a line of slipped stitches, right? I want to pick up from the wrong side so that you have this line of slipped stitches showing on the right side. That's what I want to do. And then I want to knit a few garter rows and I-cord bind off, probably in the contrast color. I'm not sure yet. I have a lot of yarn. With all of this, I basically used almost one full skein of the main color, not completely, and like 2/3 of the contrast color basically. So I have one full skein of the main color to make a huge lace bit here. So yeah, this is the Emelda shawl, and I wanted it to look like something basically, so I could show you, and then I basically paused it. So this should come mid-June hopefully, but what I wanted to do for the 1st of June was I've always wanted for a while now to make a really loose, airy summer cardigan. And so last year at the Knit Eat festival I bought a skein of this yarn, and so this is yarn from Les Petits Points Parisiens, which is a yarn shop in Paris, in Montmartre, the Montmartre neighborhood, and basically she dyes yarn as well as having a shop. And so this is a yak single base, so it's a merino yak silk base in single, and I really like this base. I have a design, a shawl design, a wrap design in this base from another dyer, which is the Lucarne wrap, and I knit that last year, and I really love this base. I love how it blocks because it's a single, so it sort of stretches flat and it stays put, and it's really nice, and it opens lace beautifully. I love yak content in the yarn. It's just so deep in color and so rich. It's really nice. And so I have the Lucarne wrap that I knit in that exact base. Basically it's a lace base, so it has 800 meters to 100 grams. And so I have that wrap, and I wore it quite a lot. I wore it quite a lot over the autumn and the spring, and it aged beautifully. Like, the yarn hasn't peeled, the yarn isn't damaged, and it's quite a light, fragile looking lace wrap. And so this confirmed that I could use this skein to make that summer cardigan that I wanted. And so that is what I did. Basically the idea is to have a very airy, light, very large, loose sleeve, 3/4 length, loose body, flowy, open cardigan for the summer. And this is what I have. So I'm showing you here because you can see the color a little bit better than on the skein. This is the colorway Guimauve Speckles, so marshmallow speckles. So it's this sort of mauvey color, mauvey taupe thing with gold speckles and rusty pink and a little bit of charcoal grey at points. So this is what I have. And so I started the cardigan, so it's gonna be a raglan, and I started the cardigan quite tight here because it's gonna be open cardigan, so you're not gonna be able to close it at the front at all, which means that basically the bust circumference is gonna be calculated from double the back width. It's gonna be lots of ease, but I wanted it to stay here, possibly not to drop over away from the shoulders. So I started it quite small. The raglan starts quite small, and then it increases a lot until you have huge sleeves, and not huge, like big sleeves. The raglan is made of garter, a few garter columns here. You have 3 stitches in garter stitch, so you keep going, keep going, keep going, The raglan is a little bit low, not too much, but a little bit. And then you split body and sleeves. You cast on a lot of stitches here at the sleeve, so you see the sleeve opening is quite big. I could fit my head in it. It's quite big because I really want the sleeves to be loose. And then you continue the garter columns here at the sides of the body. And at the bottom of the body, I started doing a little bit of horseshoe lace. So horseshoe lace is a really common old lace pattern, so here it is. I've done one repeat. I think I'm gonna do another one of these, like this little thing here. I'm gonna do another one, I think. Then I'm going to finish with garter stitch. And the sleeves are gonna be picked up, knitted straight, super loose, 3/4, and at the end they're gonna have, at the cuffs, they're gonna have the lace repeat as well. So we're gonna have the horseshoe lace at the bottom of the sleeves and at the bottom of the body. And so that's the plan. Then the neckline finally will be in garter stitch so that it matches the raglan thingy. So the finishing touches will be in garter stitch in a much smaller needle size so that it's a bit tight looking. So yeah, this is the cardigan, my summer cardigan. I've been wanting to make an airy, flowy thing like this for quite a while. And so I'm really happy to be doing it finally. And I love how it's turning out. I tried it on already and it looks really cool. And yeah, I can't wait to finish the body first and to block it, to see how it behaves, how the lace is gonna open a little bit just at the bottom here between the garter bands. And yeah, I need to call for testers for it quickly. I want to finish the body, the neckline and one sleeve so I can call for testers. So I don't know when this episode will come out. I'm recording on the 2nd of April and I think I will put it up next week. So when you see this, maybe I already done the test call, though I doubt it, but maybe I will do it soon. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make a normal test because yeah, it's a little bit difficult since I don't know how it is in the rest of the world, but basically in France a lot of shops are not shipping anymore, which is totally normal so that you don't clog the postal system basically. So yeah, it's a bit difficult to get your hands on yarn, so basically I'm counting on people having fingering weight in their stash to make it. Because yeah, I'm using lace obviously, so that's lovely if you want something loose like I do, but if you use fingering weight it's gonna be just as well, and it's made so that it's possible. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to have a regular test with people having the yarn, but yeah, it's a fairly simple construction. The raglan is very straightforward, and yeah, I think it's gonna be very nice and light to wear. I kind of like that little lace here, really simple and summery. Really basic knit basically, but that's yeah, that's kind of what my head is at the moment. But yeah, with the little details of the construction and the lace. And the garter. Stretching the lace. I really want to block this thing, so I need to advance on it. So yeah, this should be released in the 1st of June for my birthday, and we'll have our first really summery knit of this year, hopefully. And that's it. That's it for the projects I have been working on since last episode. I have, yes, the little Patreon update, because we are at the beginning of April. So if you're unaware, I have a Patreon page where you can support me and basically get patterns. You can get either 1 or 2 patterns per month depending on your support level. And yeah, my Patreon page is in both languages, so you have the French and then you have the English. You just need to scroll down to see the English versions. And basically every month I do a little video which is recorded in French, but I subtitle it in English. For April, the video is basically I put the steek tutorial that is in a pattern that is currently being test knitted. There's a steek tutorial in it, and I put it on Patreon along with some tips on bottom-up sweaters. So basically how to apprehend bottom-up constructions, which type of garment is easier to knit bottom-up, what you should be thinking about. And I also compiled a few finishing tips, as well as how to continue a motif when you decrease or increase, which is also in that pattern. Basically, I just wanted the steek tutorial to be available to all on Patreon, regardless of whether or not you would get that pattern. So that is April's theme. So if you're interested, feel free to join us. Again, Patreon is actually the most economical way to get a pattern from me. So if you just want to get one pattern, you can come in just for 1 month and cancel your payment for the next month, and that's absolutely normal to do, and just it's made so that you can do that. So if during these moments you kind of need, like, you have difficulties financially, which pretty much everyone does at different levels, and I sincerely hope it's not gonna get as bad as my pessimist self tends to think. But if you would like to get a pattern at a more affordable price, Patreon is the cheapest way technically to get patterns from me. So yeah, that's that, in case you're interested. I think that's it for this episode. I think I've said everything. Yeah. I've talked about a bunch of various things, but I haven't rambled as much as usual, so that's why it's actually a decent length, and we're gonna keep it under 40 minutes, so I'm gonna stop talking right now. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you are well. I hope you are staying safe if possible. I am wholeheartedly with those who are really suffering from the situation. I am well. My family is well. So far, we had a bit of a strange moment, and I think we will keep having those. We have plumbing issues, out of all things to happen right now, when basically you cannot do anything about it. We have plumbing issues. Yay life. Thanks for the karma. But I mean, I wish everyone would just have plumbing issues, right? So I encourage everyone with all my heart, and I hope you are all staying safe, and I wish you the best, and I will see you soon. I will see you, I think, in a couple of weeks. So yeah, basically April needs a bit of reorganization, right? I have calendars where I mark the plans that I have for the month, the things that are organized, and so for April, I basically, when I put it up on the wall, I basically had to erase everything and replace stuff, so it's a little bit of a mess. So I'm not too sure of how my month is going to go for my business, but I think you are watching this in the second week of April, I think, and I think 2 weeks after that you will be seeing me again. And in any case, I will come back soon. I wish you the best and stay safe. Bye.